Nobody's listening, right?
Hi, Andy.
Hello.
This is the podcast where we chat as though no one were listening to us. But is anyone listening?
Yeah, this is from Dana or Dana on Spotify. And as many people know, we've talked about lemon bars many times over the years on our shows, on this show.
Yeah.
And she weighed in, said, just curious, why don't you freeze half the batch of lemon bars for later? That way you can save them and have them a few weeks later and go for treat round number 2.
We could try it.
Yeah.
I know that freezing is different from refrigerating.
Yeah.
But refrigerating really, doesn't serve the lemon bar.
I kind of like them a little cold. Do you not like them like a day or two later when they're chilled?
They seem like dried out to me. No, I don't like them as much.
Hey,
will you do me a favor?
Yeah.
Okay, behind your headphones,
Yeah.
and I probably have something going on too, and I'm going to be... You have like hair sticking up that I fear that when you look down... There you go. Your hair's looking not bad at all, but different.
I'm getting a haircut today.
Oh, wow. Look at
So
that.
what do you think about all of that?
I think it's
Is the
perfect timing.
You really?
Like-
okay, you're not liking it.
like yesterday you had a great hair day, and then today your hair's going,
I was wearing a hat yesterday.
okay. Today your hair's going, time for a cut.
I really want a new do, but like...
Why don't you go
Talk to me.
longer on top,
Yeah.
shorter on the corners? You know, right now it's kind of it grows out kind of boxy.
Tell me more, please. I'm sort
so,
of with you.
So here, on the sides of where the side of your head meets the top of your head, it's a little bit longer.
So it gives almost like a that?
Yeah.
Which is no good.
Well,
So what
it's only when it's grown out like this.
But
so
it's a problem that happens every time.
I think you should talk to her about it.
But what would be another alternative?
I think keeping it all shorter.
Go on.
I don't know hair.
Just talk.
So I think that I'm making a huge
Go
mistake.
with your gut.
Just keeping it all a little bit shorter,
Mm-hmm.
except for longer on top.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm going to talk to her about that. If it goes bad, what's the worst that can happen? I
Nothing.
can get another haircut
You wear hats all the time.
and
Everything's
get it
fine.
a little shorter.
We have no family photos coming up.
Big thanks to Songfinch for supporting our show this week. Songfinch lets you create an original radio quality song inspired by your own life and the people you love. It's completely unique, personal, and lasts forever. Go to songfinch.com/NLR and start your song. After your purchase, you'll be prompted to add Spotify streaming for your original song for free, a $50 value.
Love Songfinch.
We need to do something right now. Let's call this section retractions, corrections, mea culpas.
We fucked up
There you go.
section. This is a new, what do we call this when it was the Oprah show thing for back in Totally Lame? Segment.
Okay.
This is the We Fucked Up segment. First of all.
Oh, wait, hold on. Can we change it to the Elizabeth fucked up section? Can we?
Well, that was pretty funny. It came to our attention.
Mm-hmm.
There is a video of Charles Leclerc's beautiful girlfriend. I want to say her name's Victoria. I don't know what it is. With a beautiful movie star quiet tear rolling down her cheeks, even off to the side as though it also knows not to mess with her makeup. But the emotion, such depth of emotion that a tear formed, went off to the side, and quietly rolled down her whole cheek.
And if you have no idea what we're talking about, last week we watched the F1 Grand Prix.
And
Charles Leclerc won. Everyone was crying at this event.
I was having a real field day talking shit about his girlfriend who didn't seem to show much emotion. You were giving her the benefit of the doubt, as one is wont to do for a pretty young thing. And you were right. I was wrong, and I stand corrected. She was very emotional. She had the tear falling.
You got so in my head, though. Well, so thank you, listeners, for sending us the photo of the tear.
Course correct.
But you got so in my head that the first photo I saw, in our Instagram DMs, I was like, could this be photoshopped?
Oh,
Do you know what I mean? Like, is that tear real down there?
No,
Hanging
I
out on
think
the lower cheek?
I think it's real. And I looked at you when I saw it and I go, oh man, I'm such an ass. Or I said, we're such assholes. And you said, I'm not. And you were right. It was just me. Anyway, I feel terrible. And I'm sure, you made a good point last week. There's probably so much more to it. She's going to all of these races.
Okay, can I point something out? I'm really sorry to do this to you right now. You kind of have an attitude about this I fucked up. Like, you're like, maybe her name's Victoria, I don't know. And like, her perfect makeup and whatnot. This seems like a lovely, lovely person. What is your beef? This is not like you.
Charlotte. Oh, that's so cute.
Stop.
Charlotte.
That's not genuine.
Charlotte and Charles.
That is kind of cute.
Hang on. Is that her? Oh, no. Her
That's
name's
not her name.
Alexandra.
Jeez.
That's his ex. So sorry to bring his ex into this. Anyway, Alexandra, you are stunning and
Even what you're doing right now. What? I don't understand.
smart, good at math.
Why is that? See, there's something happening here, though. This woman is bringing up some sort of feelings for you, and you need to acknowledge it. What is going on?
You're right. I'm continuing to be an asshole. I don't know why. I think I'm just feeling feisty. But were she to hear this, I would feel terrible. And I think that
And what would you say?
I am so sorry for kind of dismissing your feelings and painting a picture of you that was not fair or valid whatsoever, and being even shitty in my then follow up to acknowledging. And I'm genuinely sorry. Listen, I think she's fine. I'm not worried.
Again, Jesus, can you just get through it? Again, she's fine.
No,
Do you hear yourself?
I had gotten through it. It's fine. It's done. Okay, I fucked up. Listen to her name.
Okay.
Alexandra Saint-Mleur. Mleur.
And are you making fun? Are you mocking the name? Are you celebrating the name?
I am celebrating it.
It doesn't seem like it. It really doesn't seem like it.
It is. I'm like, with a name like that, let's talk about names. When you give a person a name, a child, a baby,
Yeah.
you're like, oftentimes kind of people live up to their names in some way.
Sure.
And in this case, could not be more the case. Her name is Alexandra Saint-Mleur.
Mm-hmm.
She's a Monaghan. She's a TikTok influencer. And, wow, she's very successful and works very hard. I'm serious.
Oh my God.
But
it might be some time to do some soul searching. Do you know what I mean?
probably right.
You know, this really, you're going to be watching this whole interaction later in life and being like, wow, that was a turning point for me.
But I do think when her parents gave her this name, it was like the writing was on the wall.
How so? Alexandra?
Alexandra. And it's like...
But that's how you would say it because that's where she's from. That's probably a very common name there.
Saint-Mleur.
She can't change her last name.
That's true.
They didn't give her last name. That was generations gave her that last name.
Okay. Let's
move.
really
Definitely move on.
Can we say, I'm like, oh no.
No, you crying now doesn't make it better. You can't get out of it with crying.
Okay. I'm going to pull it back. I'm very emotional.
Stop it. I can't trust anything about you right now.
No. Know that I have been... This is very funny and fine. And I am an asshole. I'm just saying, I think I'm feeling feisty and kind of having a burn it down, fuck it all attitude.
Mm-hmm.
So it's been a hard week.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm kind of just emotional. And I'm not doing this to garner. I am not. I want everyone to burn me at the stake for what I've just done. But I'm just explaining myself. A little fragile. Not even fragile, actually. I'm just I don't know.
I want to give you the benefit of the doubt. I live with you, and so I know you're being genuine.
Yeah.
But for someone that maybe hasn't been with you all week, these tears feel slightly manipulative.
I know. I know that they do. Do you know when your emotions are like right there on the surface and one like big emotion, like just now kind of laughing at myself,
Mm-hmm.
can like so easily slide into the other emotion?
Sure.
And I have to tell you, this morning we went to a dance performance at our kids' school.
Yeah.
I think I started to have a panic attack during one
When?
of those dances.
I know which dance.
You do?
No, I'm just kidding. Then wouldn't it be funny if there was like a really intense dance that like everyone started getting a panic attack?
Well, the music was kind of more intense, and
Can you say which one, sort of, without giving too much away?
it was the first grade one. So it was the one before, it was like the second to last one.
The water one?
Yeah.
Beautiful. I thought that was one of the highlights of the show.
Well, I started to feel like a little dizzy.
Uh-huh.
And then I was like, I don't know if you noticed, but I was like looking down. I wasn't watching it because I was trying to focus on my nails.
I was focusing on the show, so no, I didn't notice that. You were staring at your nails?
So you sound snarky now. I'm talking about starting to slip into a panic attack.
I'm sorry.
I don't want to talk about it then.
No, tell me. I want to know.
Are you going to be sensitive?
Yeah, I think I was just still in the zone of
I know you
your
were.
manipulation, but now it feels like you're really trying to be real right
Well,
now.
actually,
So I can be real.
I can thank several nobodies because I feel like I talked about kind of having this experience many weeks ago or like months ago and got a lot of great tips. And one of them is to do this thing where you like focus on one thing and you say in your mind, in this case, because we're out in public, like 5 things that you can see in your peripheral vision while focusing on the thing,
Mm-hmm.
5 things you can hear, and 5 things you feel, like physically feel.
Okay.
And then you do the same thing with 4, and then 3, 2, 1. I never even get to 4. Like, it calms me down.
Are you repeating the same things, or are you adding new things each time?
New things each time.
So that totals up to like 20 things, right? Or like around there?
Yeah, 15.
Okay.
So anyway, I started to do that. It helped a little bit, but yeah, I feel like I'm kind of all over the place.
Was it the theme of that particular dance, which we can definitely talk about the theme. It was like a water dance where the kids were acting out this whole kind of journey. And it was definitely that like the animals were running out of water in the beginning.
Uh-huh.
And then it was like they were like real thirsty. And then it was like, oh, thank God it rained.
Yeah.
And then like things got better after that. But the beginning was sort of intense. Was it anything to do with that, or was it just like you were
I
giving a
have
panic
no
attack?
idea. I don't know, but I'm feeling like emotionally very raw, like very kind of 0 to 100. So
Sorry
I'm
to-
having like, so what's going on is Ramona's very sick.
Yeah.
And, you know, that's a bummer.
Yeah.
And she's going through a lot and it's been really hard. And I've been also spending a lot of time taking her to all these like doctor's appointments, which are torture for her.
Vet appointments.
Vet appointments. Thank you.
Just in case someone doesn't know who Ramona
Her
is.
OBGYN. Just kidding. So anyway.
Dr. Puss.
Oh, God. So having to put, so she has a very infected eye.
Yeah.
And it seems like there might be something behind the eye, like pushing it out, which could be cancer or whatever. And she's on 1 million eye drops, which she absolutely hates. She's, you know, on all this medication. So I also feel like I'm putting her through like such a hard time. And I'm spending like hours of my day addressing this. And I'm just so worried about her. And I'm also like, it might be her time, which is very sad, but also
Yeah.
it might be her time. So that's going on. Outside of that, I had, I'm sure I'm a broken record. I had such a great pitch to a streaming network. A well-known streaming network. It went so well.
Yeah.
I thought like there was the smallest chance they would even buy it in the room, which was very
That's
naive.
always a good one.
Very naive of me to think that, but gotta keep hope alive. And like the same day that we kind of realized Ramona might not come back from this, I found out they passed, which is like, okay.
Yeah, that'll happen.
But this industry feels really hard right now, and I'm kind of having an identity crisis about it.
Sure.
Where I'm like, maybe it's a good thing. Like, this part of me has to die. Kind of like my attachment to what I do. And not to say I'm not going to keep doing it, but like, I'm feeling a little like, well, what am I? And who am I now?
I think you're just in the storm right now, is what I think. And I think a lot of people in your field and peer group are in a very similar storm.
Yeah.
Just because the whole entire industry has taken a thrashing in the past 3 years.
I think the reality is just not going to be the same moving forward. And that's fine. I mean, this happens. We're so lucky. Like, I'm so lucky I do this. And I've had the success I've had. But I think I very naively thought at this point in my career, things would feel reliable and much easier.
I know that is
But this happens in every industry. Nothing, you can't count on anything, really.
Yeah.
So, anyway.
I think you're just in the dark part right now, peaks and valleys. You're in a valley. And I do think you've been here before, too. Mm-hmm. And something awesome always presents itself. But I understand the identity crisis thing, too. But I feel like I think you can be a little easier on yourself. It's hard to probably even take in those words when you're so in it right now.
Yeah, I don't even think I'm being hard on myself. I think it's like realization. I'm not.
Well, that's kind of what I mean is almost that it.
I'm not internalizing this, just so you know. I mean, maybe I should be, but I'm truly not like, oh, I'm not good enough. That pitch wasn't good enough at all.
No,
like,
I know that.
I know in almost any other time, not to be cocky, but I would have sold that pitch. It's just the industry.
Right. But I'm saying the forced I feel like you're having a forced realization, a forced identity crisis, which is a kind of a different thing than like just an identity crisis of like, is this what I want to do? This feels a little different to me.
Yes.
In that, unfortunately, no one has a crystal ball with this kind of industry stuff and whatnot. But I think you can't take it too to heart right in this moment because it is in such a weird, volatile time.
Yeah.
And you don't have the crystal ball. And what's feeling like a forced thing spawning this identity crisis might not actually be the case for you or do you know what I mean? Like,
well, you know what? Good has come out of it.
Yeah.
It's just been a kind of, I guess, painful or like, what's the word I'm looking for? It's disorienting process in that I think it's necessary for me to peel my identity away from this industry. Like, it's been so linked to it, and so much of my confidence comes from that.
I feel you.
My confidence should come from other things or just internal kind of self, what's the word I'm looking for? Assuredness. This has caused me, regardless of if it comes back and next week I'm staffed and I'm selling things again and everything's back to a status quo, I have disconnected myself from that, like, strong sense of identity and ego in a way that I think is ultimately very positive. And it's also made me go, what do I really, really want to be doing? I really want to be doing writing and telling stories. Like, I will always be doing that. But, it's made me kind of like look at other avenues of that. And other versions of that and what's ultimately going to be the most fulfilling to me. What kind of life do I want to live? Now, I also want to say, all of this aside, our life is good. Like, I don't want people thinking I'm like moping around. I have had this kind of anxiety this week, which I really think Ramona has sent over the edge. But, you know, like with the kids and stuff, last night we went to their tennis class and I'm present and having fun. I'm still, you know, but yeah, I'm going through something.
Yeah, I'm sorry. That sucks. It's temporary though. You got to remember that. What will relieve the temporariness, no one knows. Do you know what I mean? It could be a bunch of different cool things. But it's definitely temporary. Now's a good time for you to check out our patreon.com/nobody's listening right.
Would love the support.
If you want a bonus episode every month, plus the occasional fun live stream and other stuff, go to patreon.com/nobody's listening right.
Great placement.
Thanks. Appreciate it.
Just one little funny story about that.
Please.
Okay, so the kids, you know, came home from school that day. I think it was Tuesday. And Teddy's so sensitive. Like, Teddy can feel a vibe. And she was like, Mom, are you okay? Even though I totally thought I was fine. And I was like, yeah, you know, I'm just kind of overwhelmed with this Ramona stuff going on. And I really want to make sure she's not okay and not in pain. And I also got some news about that pitch at that streamer everyone knows and loves.
Yeah.
And it didn't go my way. And she was like, oh, Mom, I'm so sorry. And I was like, thanks, honey. It's okay. Everything's going to be fine. It's just I'm, you know, feeling my feelings and I'll work through them. And then Otis goes, man, you really need to get a job. Oh, my God.
Oh, my God.
He ain't wrong.
So funny.
God, this is dark.
Well, I did want to tell you about this birthday party I went to.
Oh, yeah.
So I went to a birthday party for this artist that I love that I work with. And I knew it was going to be cool because I got the coolest looking invite.
Yes.
But I didn't even know if it was an invite. I had to show you
I know.
to be like, is this an invite? Because there was barely any info on it. It was so cool looking.
Well, this artist also is just, they're the coolest.
Yeah, it was pretty cool.
I was honestly very impressed that you went.
Yeah.
Because this is big of you. It's very outside your comfort zone.
Mm-hmm.
You know you're going and dealing with a very specific, incredibly cool community in LA that you are on the outside of. It's a middle-aged man. And you, I was really proud of you. You were like, and it's really speaks to how much you like this person, like, I'm going to go. That'll be fun. And also I couldn't go because I obviously needed to be with the kids and taking them to their class and stuff. Yeah. But you did it.
I did it. And the party started, it said on the cool thing, 6. So I went around like 6:45. So I got to this place. It was in Silver Lake, and it's a bar that you and I had been to in our like earlier days.
I know it.
Right? But a long time ago. I haven't been here in forever. So I'm walking up to it. There's another guy coming like from another area going to the door too. And I'm like, oh, maybe he's going to the party because it is like a little earlier. I'm like, it's not going to be jumping there. Like maybe he's going to the party. I almost say something, right? Mm-hmm. Cool looking dude. He's wearing cool work pants, the kind that you don't like that
Dickies?
I have. No. Carhartts?
Carhartts. I love Dickies.
Okay. Anyways, just looks like cool, you know, hipster dude.
Yeah.
You get to the front and there's a bouncer there. And I haven't been to this place in a long time. And the bouncer is like, you know, take everything out of your pockets. And I'm like, oh, that's kind of this kind of place. Then it's like, oh, wait, no, we're really getting searched at this place. The guy is like, hey, no, take everything out of your pockets. I think you have something in that other pocket.
Are your balls getting touched?
No, I hope not. So the guy takes out everything. Then the guy starts doing the wand, you know, TSA wand to him.
Wow.
And making him spin around. So now the guy's facing me because he has to spin around. And this guy doesn't seem as friendly. I'm not now being like, hey, are you going to the party? You know?
Yeah, yeah.
And I'm like, God, this is intense. Like, search for this kind of place, this neighborhood. And then the guy getting searched turns to the bouncer and is like, oh, hey, by the way, will you see if there's a knife? And he starts explaining a knife. And I'm like, wait, what the fuck is going on? That had been confiscated from him earlier in the week from this bar. So he had tried to bring some sort of knife that got taken away. And so I was like, what the fuck is going on?
Oh, weird.
And what are the chances, too, that I'm behind the guy that had a knife taken away from him before?
Did you get the same search treatment?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, okay. Because I was going to say, it would be interesting if with you, they were just like, empty your pockets and carry on.
I know. That would have felt a little kind of emasculating almost. Like, size me up. Like, look at this pipsqueak.
Well,
He's no threat. He's not carrying a cool knife.
I don't know if this guy is like known. They like bought the wands because Derek's been coming around a lot. We need to get those TSA wands for Derek.
Yeah.
But he wasn't part of the party.
No.
Yeah. Well, and you had a blast.
I had a blast.
And isn't it like anytime you and I are kind of similar, or maybe you've rubbed off on me. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
It's interesting because you love to get out, like go to Target and stuff like that.
Yeah.
A weekend stuck at home is not fun for you at all. You need to have like an outing.
Yeah.
Whereas I'm like happy as a clam, just in my clamshell.
Mm-hmm.
Stuck at home. I don't really want to go anywhere. Running errands to me feels like such a chore.
Yeah.
Going to Target is not a thrill the way it is for you.
I like going to Target.
I think part of that, were you hauled around with your mom growing up running errands?
Yeah, yes.
I mean, that's
sure.
my whole life was being in her like Chrysler LeBaron or whatever it was, running errands.
Yeah.
And I think that similar to like going to church, being obligated to go do this mind-numbingly boring thing kind of turned me off of it.
Interesting. To me, I think, did you have a pretty big leash on those errands? Because like when we would go to the grocery store, it was next to a cool toy store, and my mom would be like, oh yeah, go check it out. I'll come find me in a half hour. Like, or we would go, if we went shopping at the mall, it was like, hey, go check out I would always go to like Champ Sports or something. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it'd be like, come find me in a half hour. Like, I had so I kind of think I like the autonomy of being by myself and just like looking at stuff.
Right. Well, this is going to blow your mind. I had a leash.
You had one of those leash things?
I'm kidding.
Well, a lot of kids do.
Well, yeah, but that's when you're like a toddler. Like, I wasn't. No, I don't think I had quite the same leash. And
lack of leash, do you mean?
Right, lack of leash. I definitely, I think I stuck by her side pretty much. I mean, I think there were times where she just left me in the car.
Yeah, there's a lot of that for me too. People don't do that anymore.
You shouldn't.
I can remember like sitting like at the dawn of ATMs. I can remember a specific time where like my mom was like, we're going to go to the bank. I'm going to go use the ATM. And I can remember sitting in the minivan for like 20 minutes being like, where the fuck did my mom go?
Oh, yeah.
You know?
Sweating.
Just chilling in there.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, errands, running, I think it turned me off of errands. But, so like you like to get out, but social events.
Yeah.
In the evening time, usually.
I don't like to do.
It's not something you're excited to do. And I think I'm starting to feel very much the same. However, when I do it, I'm always like, this is great. Why don't I do this more?
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
You know, and I almost feel like our kind of lack of enthusiasm about getting out has stilted some of our like socializing friendships. I feel like there are certain groups of friends of ours who are going out all the time. And if we wanted to, we could be amongst them. But they just, you know, it's like you ask someone to do something enough times and they're always not able to.
Yeah. I can't do too much of it though.
Yeah.
I think it drains me.
Yeah. Yeah, me too.
Like, more than one thing a week, ooh, that's a lot for me.
God, we're so old. Remember you in your 20s? You were out every night partying.
I know.
Crazy.
It was interesting going to this party. I was definitely older than everybody.
Yeah.
And I was very in my head a lot of the time trying to be mindful of like people's time at the party that I'm chatting up because I'm like, they probably don't want to be chatting with me.
Andy.
Do you know what I mean?
I'm going to cry for It's like the saddest thing I've ever heard.
No.
You're being mindful of people's time.
You know, like in a practical way.
I know,
Do you
but
know what
like,
I mean?
take a look at that.
Well, you know.
I mean, they're all grown adults. They can find their way out of the conversation. You're being mindful of people's time chatting with you.
Sure. Yeah.
Oh my God. Something's going on with us. I don't know.
No, I think that's like a very just like kind of nice thing. Do you know what I mean?
Well, it is thoughtful.
Because we've all been stuck with people.
Here's what I also want to say, though.
We've been stuck at parties the whole night with people.
I know. But we're not those people, I think. And also, back when we used to go out more and go to parties, you and I would often be like, do you want to go over to that quiet, dark corner over there? Or like go sit by the pool where no one is?
Yeah.
And inevitably, I'm not trying to toot our own horn here.
Yeah.
People would migrate over to us and we would like create a whole separate party happening.
I feel like that's happened like twice and we've turned it into
No.
thing.
No. It happened many times back in the day. Now, I mean, I don't even know where we'd be to try it on. But let's try it on for size next time we're in a situation where we can and see what happens.
Yeah.
But I think you're so much fun to talk to. And I think that you shouldn't discount how great you are and how much fun it is to be in a conversation with you and that people would want to spend more time with you than you're giving them credit for.
Yes.
Yeah.
Big shout out to this week's sponsor, Songfinch. Are you looking for the perfect Father's Day gift that will leave him misty-eyed?
Oh, it is perfect.
It is perfect. Skip the socks and power tools and give him the most unique, unforgettable gift possible, an original song from Songfinch. Now, we took this for a test drive. If you want to hear our test drive, I made a song for Elizabeth called, and I quote, My Nacho Queen, Elizabeth. Look it up on Spotify. It is a banger.
It's so great.
So this is a really fun thing, songfinch.com/NLR. You go there and basically like you fill out this questionnaire to design your own song that then you can give to someone else for Father's Day maybe.
Yeah.
Or you can give to yourself if you want.
Great.
And you tell them, you know, what you want it to sound like, what lyrics you want, the whole deal. It is so fun to do the whole process. And let's just be honest. We were kind of blown away with the results we got
away
on ours.
It was so
These
fantastic.
things crush as gifts. So for a limited time, Songfinch is letting our listeners upload their song to Spotify for free, which is rad because you can tell people to go check it out like we just did. So to get that free bonus, you just go to songfinch.com/NLR, start your song. After the purchase, you'll be prompted to add Spotify streaming for your original song for free, a $50 value. And don't hesitate to share the song with us too. Send us that old Spotify link. We will check it out. Again, one last time, songfinch.com/NLR.
Okay, so, one thing I do want to address, I think this still goes into the I fucked up segment, but
Okay.
it's Andy fucked up.
Doubt it, but
Kind of.
go on.
Last week's episode, if you go to YouTube,
Oh, yeah.
there was a spider, a notable spider because several nobodies reached out to us about it,
Yeah.
crawling, making its way over to me.
Mm-hmm.
And do you have the timestamp?
It
Someone
was like 39:50 is where it begins.
and you said nothing, but you noticed it when it was happening.
While we were taping, I totally clocked it. Yes.
And didn't say anything.
Mm-hmm.
Now, this is particularly interesting because right before we started recording last week's episode, there was a huge spider. Must be spider season.
No, it was the same spider, without a doubt.
It was
huge.
The same spider.
Yeah, we had a tango with a spider.
Was coming down its silky line, like right next to where you were sitting. And I was like, Andy, you might want to take care of that spider before we start because it's going to get on you.
Yeah.
And then you were like, I don't want to kill it. And then
I went
said,
to like kind of get it, and then it kind of scurried away.
and I said, well, I'll keep an eye out for it and let you know.
You're making that part up.
No.
You said you'd keep an eye out for
Yeah,
it?
I'll let you know if it's coming at you.
Okay. So that all being said, when I clocked it, I was like, oh, this is funny. And in my mind, I was like, you were really talking about something, I think. So I couldn't interrupt instantly. But I was like, oh, I am going to eventually interrupt.
Was it Alexandra?
And maybe,
I wish
maybe
you
it
had.
was. It might have been. But I thought it was going to be like a funny moment where I would tell you and then you'd freak out because it was going really slow. And then I just totally forgot about it. And then I didn't even see it.
Do you think that's why
editing.
this arm is swollen up to twice its size? I'm just kidding. Just wanted to acknowledge that. Everyone can go to our YouTube channel and sub,
See that
as the kids say.
spider.
Okay. I just watched a Dancing with the Devil series
Oh, I haven't
on
seen it.
Netflix. So fascinating.
Yeah.
Now, cults are like, we really got to sit our kids down when they're in their like mid to late teens and be like, here's the deal. If you find yourself in this situation, here are the red flags.
Can we just play them a bunch of these documentaries?
Yes, we will. But I want to also like put up some sort of whiteboard connecting the dots and showing them the pattern of cults is shockingly so the fucking same.
They've cracked the code.
They've cracked the code, and it is usually a man. Starts off. This one is interesting because he had a very interesting, to his credit, angle in to ruining people's lives, which was he preyed upon. He's kind of genius.
Yeah.
Dancers.
Yeah.
Moving to LA to make it in the dance scene, which I think making it probably means like becoming the backup dancer for Beyonce or all those things. And there are all these dancers, obviously, on TikTok that have blown up, and they're very captivating. And watching this was an enjoyable doc because you also got to see some amazing dancing.
I know you like those most.
And they all have like 2.5 million followers and all this stuff.
Yeah.
He preyed upon those dancers, which is so genius because they're people who need attention, who are like away from their lives usually, who don't have a lot of money. I mean, it's one of the many, many jobs in entertainment where like it's a struggle. You think someone who has 2 million TikTok followers is making money? No.
Yeah.
And like is looking for hope and is inherently hopeful. I think those people are taking a risk and putting themselves out there.
Sure.
So this genius evil man who already was a preacher and had a church and already was like grooming people and like manipulating people and had all of these shell companies that he's having his churchgoers work at and stuff like that, shifts his focus to these TikTok dancers.
Yeah.
And it says he's a management company called 7M.
Okay.
And so lures them all in, but it's also a church that he's the preacher at.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
So it goes like, okay, bait people with something.
Yeah.
Then have control over them, usually through a religion by saying, I am the voice of God.
Yeah.
And so like you have to listen to me. And if you disobey me, you're disobeying God and you're going to go to hell. And the only way to not go to hell, this is kind of genius too, it's a bit of a twist in this case, was
dance.
You have to die to your family. So
What?
like how Jesus died for everyone else's sins in the world, you have to basically disown your family. You're dead to them.
Like
to get them into heaven because they're not going to be doing the stuff they need to do to get to heaven.
This dipshit was like, knows the playbook of every cult, and he's like, fuck, how am I going to get around the whole like getting them away from their family bit? And he's like, let me just up the ante.
So these poor people think like, oh, my family's going to go to hell unless I, in this earthly life, like distance myself from them completely. Now, it's really fucked up in some cases where people our parents have young babies, some of these dancers. Luckily, I don't think any of them that were part of this doc actually stepped away from their kids, but many of them stopped talking to the parents, blocked their families. Now, the family that's kind of our way into this is really interesting because the two daughters became TikTok stars dancing together.
Okay.
They're captivating. Like, their dances are so amazing. They were super tight. But it also is interesting because it's like they are an Instagram TikTok family.
Yeah.
So it's really fucking weird because throughout this doc series, like the parents are grappling with how to reach their daughter and be like, get the fuck out of this. And, you know, they want to be like, get the fuck out, but you can't do that because the main important thing is to keep lines of communication open.
Okay.
So they're all play acting like, can we see you? Like, could you come for Christmas? We won't mention Robert, the guy, or any of the cult stuff. And so they are together during Christmas, but it's all for Instagram. And even the parents are like, hey, like,
whoa,
part of the Instagram thing. It's so wild.
Does the Robert guy leader dance also? Is he a good dancer or no?
No. You wouldn't want to see him dancing. Anyway, it's cult. So anyway, it's religion. Get away from your family. You have to give all of your money to the church or you will go to hell. So all of the money that they're making is going, and he like takes control of their bank accounts.
Jesus Christ. And how quick is the grift for this guy on these people? Like
pretty quick. Like this was over a year, a couple of years.
But they get roped in pretty quick to the whole thing?
He focused on the dance situation.
My God.
And he's managing them and he's telling them like, look, if you give all your money to the church, you're going to get a lot back out of it. And they are all having success because they've built their own successful thing. But he's telling them, see, when you do these things I'm telling you, good things come to you. So then you book this like Reebok commercial and you book this whatever. It is fascinating, the manipulation. So then, I mean, it's almost as good as my earlier manipulation of crying after being such a shithead.
Yeah.
So then, of course, I was waiting for it. I was like, when is it going to reveal that he's a super perv?
Yeah, of course.
It's coming.
Yeah.
And boom, it lands. He's also, assaulting and manipulating, grooming.
Of course.
All of it.
Of course.
It's like, sorry, I can't do that. I was going to do chef's kiss, but I can't.
It's the same thing.
Too insensitive, but it is just so the same story.
I genuinely think almost every story is exactly the same with the exception of Heaven's Gate. That leader had a complicated sexuality. He was gay and he made the people in the cult chop off their balls. But that's the only one I can think of.
But that's his own form of sexual violence.
Yeah, maybe you're...
I mean, that's grooming
right.
and
but
a sexual assault
He wasn't
its own
sleeping
sort.
with any of the people in the thing.
Yeah, but I mean, it's like sexual control. I mean, that's like kind of the ultimate sexual control. It's like, wow.
Man, it's so fucking crazy.
But I want our kids to know, like, look, if you're in a relationship or if you are in, first of all, and I hesitate to say this because, like, I know that there are some people who use this in good faith and it means a lot to them and it is all on the up and up.
Yeah.
The word mentor sends kind of chills up and down my spine.
Every time. Yep, I'm with you.
Anyone who's got a mentor, I'm like, what's going on there?
Mm-hmm.
And, I would say you and I are probably in positions where we could be mentors to someone.
Sure.
In our fields or whatever. I would never... Like, if someone called me their mentor, I'd be like, please don't.
Sorry. No, you don't have to do that. Please. That's horrible.
I'm happy to help you, but I'm no one's mentor. It's such a red flag to me.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking we're going to tell our kids, look, if you have someone that you're starting to call your mentor, someone who's trying to convince you to separate from your friends and family, someone who is asking questions about your financial situation in ways that no one needs to know about.
Fucked.
someone who is convincing you that they have the answers,
Right.
run, get out.
I learned a little bit. I was just chatting dance community in general at this party I went to because there were some dancers there, and I was asking like, "Hey, is there ever like a competitive vibe?"
Yeah.
And they were telling me that like to me it sounds much more familial than like being like an actor or a musician and whatnot. Because the example I was given was like you go to these auditions and sometimes it does feel like a crazy like cattle call where it's like you're in the same room with a ton of people and you're all dancing at the same time.
Yeah.
Which I feel like we've seen like videos of that in like documentaries where it
Yeah.
like, but so in that sense, like it's obviously kind of competitive, but typically though, those things then get like broken down to like, okay, you 8 are staying. And the 8 that are staying are kind of like, okay, fuck, we're here. And they're pretty cool to each other, which is interesting because we hear a lot of stories from like friends and actors of like, you go to the acting audition and you're sitting in the room and you're like, oh, fuck, they're here again. And you know there's only one part
Yeah.
and you want it so bad.
Yeah, it's really rough. I mean, there's some of that I guess there's probably that in every field.
Yeah.
You know, like there's one promotion to manager to be had. And
Oh, I was going to say, but with dancers too, though, I think the other cool element, though, is there has to be this synergy, especially if it's group dancing, because a lot of times there's a wild synergy where you're literally moving the same way with these people, which is kind of interesting.
Watching this doc is like, dancing is so amazing. It's just such and it kind of made me think bigger picture, like how incredible art is. Here's a question for you, because I was raised in the Midwest.
Yeah.
Where art and culture, I feel like, and I don't want to speak for everyone, but my take on art and culture was kind of like, it's this side thing that you really don't need. And some people, like, it's fun to go to the Muni and see a musical if you're, like, fortunate enough to do it.
Yeah.
But, and it almost had that kind of thing, like, the people who have access to art and culture are people who have excess money. So therefore, it's kind of like a excessive thing, which is fucked up. And I feel like the older I get, the more I realize, like, art and culture, it is so important that it is accessible. There's access to it for everyone. It's like literally life-saving. I think, the world can be hard. Here, perfect example. I'm having a hard time, even though my life is so incredible, to learn to express yourself in different ways and have access to that and feel moved by things and the beauty in art and the like way it can pull emotion out of you, if it's good, bad, whatever, is so important. And it's more so important to people who like maybe don't have access to the same healthcare, the same food, all of the things that we kind of take for granted.
Yeah.
And watching the dancing documentary, I was like, it's also, a ticket out for some people. That's what was so sad is some of these dancers, like it was a ticket to this better life that they then got totally duped out of. Like,
and it kind of soured probably the whole
oh my God.
thing.
All of the people who got out of this, because there are people who are still in and there are people who are out, are like, it has fucked me up mentally so much.
Oh, I can't even imagine.
Their art now is so tied to this really negative experience. And
you probably wouldn't want to dance again. Or it would be hard to for some people, I would imagine, and rightfully so. Or I understand why it would be hard. Your thing that you loved so much got so tainted.
Yeah.
And that must be so infuriating and hard to like parse.
Yes. I feel like I want to kind of reframe what I was saying about the Midwest.
Yeah.
Here's what I was thinking. I think when growing up and I would hear about like, ooh, the so-and-so family are donating $1 million to like the arts. And I would go, like, there are people starving. You're donating money to the arts? That was my mindset, was like, it's not critical. And now, and I think in many of those cases, it was kind of a status thing to be like, I want to see my name on the Muni, whatever.
Oh, interesting.
But now I'm like, it is so critical and so worthy of people supporting in every way they can so that everyone can have access to it,
Yeah.
you know?
I had a different relationship in the sense that, like, I don't think my little brain was thinking about that stuff. Like, but I can remember growing up, and especially the neighborhood I grew up in, St. Louis, we knew people that played in the symphony. We knew, I don't know, like
That's cool.
professors and stuff like that. But the vibe was like, oh, if you're like an arty person
Yeah.
and you play in the symphony and whatnot, it's a hard life because you don't get paid much. That was kind of the thing that
Starving artist.
I internalized was like, even if like you get a job doing the thing, it's hard to do the thing.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Which in many cases that's probably true. But also I think of like, I would be very curious of like what the salary for like, LA's a horrible example, like the LA Symphony, but like other symphonies, like, is it
Probably
a
good
nice,
living.
livable
I mean, you think
wage
about
if you love
someone
playing
living
cello?
in the Webster Groves and playing in the St. Louis, that's a lovely life. Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm reading Paul Scheer's memoir, which I'm loving.
Yeah.
It's called Joyful Recollections of Trauma. And it's like short stories of his life growing up. It's really great. It's incredible. And Paul's a dear friend of ours. And it was, it's so interesting reading like this very intimate knowledge of his life growing up, and there are many things that, of course, we didn't know about. But he talks about how like he has always known he wanted to act, and it was such of everything you could do, it was like God, don't do that, don't do that, don't get, even actors he admired would be like, do anything else.
Yeah.
All of this stuff, and it's also really inspiring. He talks about his journey in comedy and how it in some ways really seemed similar to mine. I mean, not to the same scale, obviously, but like he helped found UCB. I mean, he was in not the theater before the theater I was at, but the one before that even. And he wasn't one of the four founders, to be clear, but he was one of the first people kind of on the scene. And before that, he was part of a short form improv touring company, which I was also part of a short form touring company called National Comedy Theater.
Yeah.
Remember that?
Hell yeah.
And we would perform and we would actually make money. We were getting paid. And Paul had I didn't have the same thing, but like Paul loved doing UCB stuff so much and the community of it and how funny everyone was that he had like to make a choice between doing this like crazy out there UCB stuff at the time.
Yeah.
Where you make no money, or getting paid to tour with this company.
Yeah.
And he chose the kind of scarier path of UCB. And he talks about his audition for SNL and how, it's really fascinating. I didn't even know he auditioned for SNL. But the competitive stuff you were talking about, how like, and UCB was such a community, and I am so grateful that I had it. I was at kind of a different generation than his. I was like the next generation.
Yeah.
But I loved that community so much. Not that it wasn't problematic in some ways, but he went to audition, and he talks about like his friends weren't asked to audition that same time, and he didn't want them to feel sad, so he didn't tell anyone he was auditioning until after the audition, and then he told people because he wanted to like talk about how it went and stuff, and then he realized like I should have just said it from the beginning. Like everyone here is supportive and loving. We play together. It's a community. Like of course sometimes you get jealous of things, but that's like all part of the stew that you're in.
Yeah.
And I think, and the other thing he said is when he auditioned, he realized like it really is about who is going to be the best fit in this cast.
But people don't know that when they're in it and you're vying for it. In SNL was when you guys were at UCB, and I'm sure for him, the generation before, that was everything. That was the ultimate goal. So I think it was. I understand maybe his instinct to not say anything because it probably was weird because that was the one thing that people wanted so bad
Yeah.
that everyone would be jealous if they heard, right? But I mean,
Well,
I get it. It's-
remember, I was in an acting class with this woman. I think I've cited this before. She went on to be like the star of some dance movie, but the sequel. And I was like, oh my God.
Yeah.
But this was in LA before I went to New York. I was in an acting class and she booked a commercial that like she had to fly to Canada or something, like, or maybe it was Europe. I don't know. But I was like, and they Taft-Hartley'd her, which was a way of like getting your SAG card. And to get your SAG card to me was like, you are now like Meryl Streep. I mean, you've made it.
Yeah.
And my jealousy of her getting this national commercial was so profound. Like, I couldn't see straight. I was so jealous. It's so stupid now looking back on it. But those are human emotions. Anyway, I didn't do Paul's book justice. I urge everyone to please purchase it. It's such an incredible read. And he's so vulnerable in it and honest, and it's so moving. So check it out. And it's obviously funny because it's Paul.
That's awesome.
Okay. Well, anyway, I feel much better.
Do you feel better or do you feel worse?
No, I feel this podcast.
Will you be anxious about putting this out or no?
No, I mean, listen, shit got real in the top of this.
And you promise it did get real? It wasn't just a ploy?
No, I think you know that. It was like, I think the emotions have been just right there.
Yeah,
Raw. And I think going from laughing to crying is such a slippery slope for me.
It's good too, though, doesn't it? Does it feel good at all or no?
Yeah, it does. I have to remind myself, like, crying is truly kind of a release.
Yeah.
And I feel doing this podcast with you is so important for our well-being, I think. It's important for us as a couple. But I can't think of a time that I've left the podcast in a worse state than when I started the podcast.
I just had the most fucked up thought.
What?
That, like, what if you were alone right now and like you weren't talking to this was in your head?
Oh
like,
my God.
And people were like watching this, like you would post it every week.
Oh no.
I don't know why my head went there.
That's
weird.
kind of funny. We've talked about how you might not exist.
Yeah.
Because you can't trigger hand dryers in bathrooms. And
I'm not real. Well,
you know what? Good for me. If I was so far gone and this is the coping mechanism I've come up with, and then like, am I setting up the microphones and stuff?
Oh yeah, you're setting it up. You're seeing the whole thing, but like
Wow.
the audience just sees an empty chair.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
You know what? Good for me. I figured out some sort of really wild coping mechanism to get me through. So there you go.
You're gonna be all right. I'm here
know
for
I
you.
will.
But I know you're going through it.
You know what? I am all right. I'm going to be all right. I know that. I think that this is like not to get all woo-woo about everything.
Please don't.
Okay.
No, go for it.
No, bigger picture. What was the text I sent you the other day? Can I read it?
All the feels.
It's from Moon Omens on Instagram.
Okay, I wanted to let you know. I let it sit for a while because my gut instinct of seeing anything like this is I needed to make a joke about it.
Yeah.
But I knew you were so in it that I knew I couldn't make a joke about it. But I like it. So read it.
Well, I've been sending you a couple
Read the
of
first
these.
one. The first one was good.
Okay.
The second one, I don't remember.
Okay. I might cry while I read it because I think it is what's going on for me right now.
Bring it home.
Almost when you least expect it, things fall into place. You realize that what left... Here we go. Maybe you should read it.
No, go for it. I like this.
I'd love for you to read it.
But then you have to pass me the kid. Read it. It's nice.
Okay.
Start from the beginning.
No. Okay. Almost when you least expect it, things fall into place. You realize that what left was making space for what is about to arrive. The quiet let you hear the guidance. The unhappiness forced you to make a move. The unsettledness made you keep seeking. The end ushered in a new beginning. The doors that closed turned you toward the ones that were opening. The lessons were always leading you. Every time you got it wrong, you were one step closer to having it right.
Read it again.
No. By the way, I did send this. And then wait, when did I send this? Hang on, I have to see. I sent this at like 4:08. I sent it to you. I didn't hear anything back. Then I heart it? And then I wrote, this resonates for me right now. Heard nothing. And then my next text to you is 3 hours later. Are you coming in to eat with us?
I did bring it up later, though, verbally. And I was like, that was a very sweet thing. Remember?
Did you? Or did I bring it up? And
No.
then
No. I brought it up.
Well, anyway, listen, I'm also saying all of this stuff with the realization, like, I have a project that's in motion with someone that I feel very confident in what is going on with it. I don't want it to come across like I'm totally losing it. I have my shit together, somewhat. I just think I've had a revelation about my identity, or I'm in the process of it.
Maybe.
Maybe.
Yeah, I don't think you need to be so black and white about it right now. Because again, it's like it feels like a forced identification.
No.
Which, yeah, I don't think it's
Let
that.
me say that I'm not saying I don't identify anymore with the career or whatever. I'm saying I've had a revelation, I think a lot of people I know have, about like the importance of that in the big picture.
Sure. Yeah.
That's all.
Yeah.
It's
Great.
a good thing. Okay. I love you.
I mean,
Good night.
good night.